As soon as she walked in, it was like a light bulb went off and the sun was on her.
The moment she entered the room, something changed. Richard Gere, now 74, didn't reminisce about Hollywood glories or red carpet memories. He didn't mention Pretty Woman or American Gigolo. Instead, he looked into the crowd and said something that shook the air. He confessed, "I didn't get divorced because they were wrong. I got divorced because I wasn't good enough to hold on." In that single quiet moment, the illusion of perfection broke and revealed the truth of a man who had everything but had to learn how to love. It wasn't about meeting the perfect partner. It was about becoming the right version of yourself, at the right time. For decades, he had been the Hollywood heartthrob, the mysterious man with piercing eyes, married to one of the most iconic supermodels in the world, loved by fans and filmmakers alike. Yet none of those relationships brought the deep peace he found later in life. Not until he reached the age where he didn't need to perform, chase, or prove. This wasn't a Hollywood fairy tale. This was the personal transformation of a man who went from movie icon to someone simply seeking truth. From Pennsylvania roots, where he played the trumpet and wrote music for school plays, to dropping out of the University of Massachusetts to chase dreams in theater, Richard Gere never followed the script. Even back then, he didn't just play characters on stage, he became them. Maybe that's why, even in real life, he carried that charming persona like a second skin. Women admired him, the industry adored him, and yet, his relationships flickered like candles in the wind, beautiful, bright, but brief. He dated fiercely intelligent and unforgettable women. Carol Mallory, who called him a shooting jewel across the sky. Dawn Steele, a future film studio head. Penelope Milford, his Days of Heaven co-star who stood by him through the 70s. And Sylvia Martins, who pulled him into a spiritual world, introducing him to Nepal, meditation, and Buddhism. Yet none of these connections anchored him. He was ascending in his career, from looking for Mr. Goodbar to American Gigolo, while descending into emotional disconnection. Behind the glamour, the red carpets, the constant flash of cameras, was a man unsure of how to make love last. He was moving too fast for anyone to catch up or catch on. Everything changed in 1988. A casual barbecue in Beverly Hills hosted by Herb Ritz brought him face to face with a 22-year-old supermodel who was redefining beauty, Cindy Crawford. He was 39, seasoned by fame and solitude. She was fresh off magazine covers, full of ambition and uncertainty. Their chemistry was electric, immediate, undeniable. Soon, they were living together in New York, becoming the embodiment of 90s celebrity romance. They were everywhere: magazine spreads, red carpets, international campaigns. Cindy and Richard were the couple everyone wanted to be. But behind that perfect picture were two people living vastly different timelines. Cindy, though striking and confident in public, was still finding herself privately. The constant pressure to remain flawless, to transform into the ultimate brand, left little space for her to discover her core identity. Meanwhile, Richard had begun turning inward. He was growing weary of constant public adoration, choosing silence over spectacle, spirituality over stardom. Their spontaneous Las Vegas wedding in 1991, no media, no guests, just silver foil rings, was an act of desperate simplicity. Two people trying to freeze time before it slipped away. But it wasn't enough. Cindy flew between fashion shows and photo shoots while Richard searched for calm in meditation. She tried to mold herself into his needs, but in doing so, lost sight of who she was. Years later, she admitted, "I tried to become the woman he needed, and then I lost myself." Their relationship didn't crumble in scandal. It dissolved in silence. They were living parallel lives under one roof. In 1995, they separated, quietly, respectfully, with no drama, just an empty space where once love lived. and after nearly 3 decades, Richard finally put words to that heartbreak. He said, "I loved a woman who didn't yet know who she was, and I thought love could help her find stability. But that was an unfair expectation." That breakup changed Richard. He stopped being the tabloid regular, the man linked to every glamorous woman in sight. Instead, he retreated, both physically and spiritually. He traveled through Asia, immersed himself in Buddhism, embraced humanitarian work, and stepped into slower, deeper acting roles. That's when he met Carrie Lowell. She wasn't a whirlwind. She was calm, grounded, and carried none of the chaos he once mistook for passion. A former Bond girl from License to Kill, Carrie offered Richard something he had never had before: peace. They began dating in 1995, kept a low profile, and quietly built a life together. In 2000, Richard became a father for the first time. At 51, he welcomed his son Homer James Jigme into the world. For the man who had spent decades trying to figure out love, parenthood opened a new chapter. His priorities shifted again. The Hollywood parties faded. Red carpets became occasional. Richard's heart now belonged to something quieter, purer. In this phase, his financial life also evolved. No longer chasing fame, he started managing wealth with intention. He reportedly owns a vast real estate portfolio, including a luxurious estate in Pound Ridge, New York, known for its serenity and elegance. That property alone spans over 50 acres and includes a private lake. Gere's car collection has reflected his understated taste, elegant yet practical. Among them, classic Mercedes and a Lexus hybrid stand out, emphasizing sustainability over show. His watch collection remains low-key, favoring vintage Patek Philippe models and timeless Rolex pieces. But Richard's real investments have gone beyond material. He's deeply involved in Tibetan charities and human rights organizations. Business-wise, he's stayed away from flashy ventures, preferring to put his money in foundations that matter to him. It's no surprise that his insurance portfolio is just as balanced: comprehensive health insurance, property coverage, and career protection policies that secure his wealth and well-being. From a financial perspective, Gere's life offers a clear lesson. Wealth should protect peace, not amplify chaos. His journey reveals the importance of aligning lifestyle with inner values. Fame can bring fortune, but it can't teach fulfillment. Only reflection, choice, and discipline can do that. Gere's net worth, reportedly in the range of $120 million, isn't just the result of box office hits. It's the outcome of conscious living, earning through passion projects, saving through smart real estate, and giving back through causes that reflect his beliefs. In a world where love stories fade under the spotlight, Richard Gere's journey through heartbreak and healing feels more like a whispered poem than a headline. After over a decade of a quiet, seemingly tranquil marriage, his union with Carrie Lowell unraveled not in dramatic scandal, but in a silence that echoed through empty hallways. They had married in 2002 in the secluded town of Pound Ridge, away from flashing bulbs, seeking peace over paparazzi. Gere, always introspective, found solace in solitude, growing vegetables, meditating, vanishing into the philosophy of detachment. Carrie, though no longer center stage, still craved motion, interaction, and a world that vibrated with energy. The split wasn't abrupt. It was a slow drift, ceremonies missed, appearances solo, days that passed without words. She didn't do charity for fame. She did it to change lives. Gere met her at her family's hotel in Positano, Italy. He was still legally married. She was emotionally exhausted. But their eyes didn't recognize past wounds. They saw possibility. Gere began with gestures, not grand but meaningful. Daily flowers, handwritten notes, quiet songs. He didn't rush, didn't plead. He waited. Alejandra hesitated. The age gap was glaring. He was a global star. She didn't want to be another name in a tabloid timeline. But Gere wasn't offering a fleeting romance. He was offering stillness, a sanctuary. In April 2018, they wed in a Buddhist ceremony in New York. Alejandra converted willingly, not for Gere, but because she saw herself in his values, in his simplicity, in his silence. Now, their life together mirrors tranquility more than spectacle. They reside in a multi-million-dollar estate in Pound Ridge, a serene mansion surrounded by forests, designed for privacy and meditation. Gere's real estate empire extends far beyond. His property in North Salem, valued at over $28 million, features a private lake, 14,000 square feet of space, and multiple guest houses. In Manhattan, he owns a discreet penthouse estimated at $12 million. Overseas, he's rumored to hold property in Spain and an investment residence in the Hamptons. As for his financial portfolio, Gere's net worth has seen consistent growth. In the 1990s, bolstered by hits like Pretty Woman and An Officer and a Gentleman, he was one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors. With earnings peaking at $10 to $15 million per film, he invested quietly and wisely. Today, his net worth hovers near $120 million. Analysts project a steady rise, considering his investments in real estate, private equity, and spiritual retreats. Despite his media absence, Gere continues to earn from royalties, film rights, and selective global endorsements linked to his humanitarian work. Luxury isn't missing from his world, but it's not flaunted. He owns a sleek Audi A8 for everyday travel, a vintage Jaguar XKE for rare outings, and a custom-made hybrid Mercedes gifted to him during his UN environmental advocacy. His wrist has seen high-end watches, but he favors classic Patek Philippe pieces, timeless and understated. Gere has traveled on private jets, primarily for humanitarian missions, but it's Alejandra's humility that keeps them grounded. Together, their lifestyle is luxurious but mindful. Their children, 2 sons, are raised on values, not just comfort. And while Gere's name may not dominate box office charts anymore, his journey tells a deeper story. A man who once played heartthrobs now lives the role of a father, a seeker, a man who chased peace more than applause. Through tragedy, divorce, whispered romances, and public detachment, Gere's life is a reflection of contrast. Fame and stillness, wealth and humility, silence and purpose. His relationships, from Cindy Crawford to Carrie Lowell, and Padma Lakshmi to Alejandra Silva, reveal a man forever evolving. Not lost, not broken. Just choosing the quieter path in a world obsessed with noise. And maybe that's the real miracle. They say some love stories aren't written for the headlines, but for the quiet corners of the soul. And that's exactly where Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva's journey lives. From the outside, it might seem unlikely. A Hollywood icon with a past steeped in fame, and a Spanish activist quietly healing from personal heartbreak. But sometimes, when 2 people meet, not out of need but mutual peace, something rare unfolds. Alejandra once admitted she never ignored the age gap. But she also said when the karmic pull is that strong, such differences melt into insignificance. It wasn't infatuation, it was connection. When I met Richard, she shared, it felt like someone pulling me out of the dark. That light, for her, was more than love. It was clarity. By the time they married, Gere was no longer the man pacing red carpets or chased by gossip. He was a man craving calm. They moved into a quiet estate in Pound Ridge, where he once lived with Carrie Lowell. But this time, it wasn't about grandeur. No walls, no barriers, just space to breathe. They didn't act out roles. They lived as equals. In 2019, their son Alexander was born. A year later came their second child. They kept his name private, but not the love that surrounded him. Glimpses on Instagram showed a life far removed from celebrity chaos. Nature walks, serene family moments, children chasing autumn leaves. Richard called Alejandra the bravest, funniest, and most intuitive woman he had ever met. Gere had 3 marriages behind him. Alejandra had endured a painful divorce that almost hollowed her. But love, the right kind of love, doesn't ask for sacrifice of the self. It invites authenticity. They didn't meet looking to fill a void. They didn't search for someone to complete them. They were already whole. And that is what gave their story strength. Gere didn't need Alejandra to resemble a fantasy. She didn't want him to be a movie character. They met with nothing to prove. There was no wedding spectacle, no exclusive photos sold, just mornings with handwritten notes and children's laughter echoing through quiet dinners. Gere once confessed that the reason he never had to look elsewhere was simple. Alejandra was the most generous person he had ever known. This love wasn't built on performance. It was rooted in presence. And through the pain they had both endured, they found the kind of peace most people spend a lifetime chasing. But this isn't just a tale of healing love. It's also a financial and lifestyle evolution that few saw coming. Richard Gere, once among Hollywood's highest-paid actors with a peak net worth of over $100 million, saw his wealth shift gears as he chose privacy over paparazzi. Though his box office days slowed, his financial roots only deepened. Today, Gere's estimated net worth sits around $120 million, with projections suggesting modest growth through conservative real estate investments and intellectual property royalties. One major part of his financial resilience? Real estate. Over the years, Gere built a quiet empire of land and homes, starting with his famed Bedford Post Inn in New York. He later purchased a sprawling estate in Pound Ridge for $9.8 million, where he now lives with Alejandra and their sons. Surrounded by trees and peace, it's a world away from Hollywood mansions, yet no less valuable. In 2021, he sold another Pound Ridge property for nearly $28 million, marking one of the highest sales in Westchester County. His garage is not filled with flashy exotics, but Gere does have a refined taste. He's been seen driving classic Volvos and Range Rovers, preferring practicality over performance. His high-end watch collection, though private, reportedly includes Patek Philippe and vintage Omega timepieces, timeless, understated, much like himself. And while he doesn't boast a private jet, Gere has long had access to charter services, especially for humanitarian work abroad. Business-wise, Gere's portfolio remains surprisingly grounded. Instead of diving into tech or apparel like many stars, he focused on hospitality and low-key production ventures. He co-owns the Bedford Post Inn, a boutique hotel that combines yoga, fine dining, and luxury retreat vibes. Alejandra, on the other hand, runs the Reyes Foundation in Spain, a nonprofit aiding the homeless. Her financial lifestyle is less public, but her philanthropic roots run deep. Married to Gere, she shares in the quiet luxury of a life away from flashing bulbs. Together, they embody a new model of wealth, not excess, but meaningful abundance. Their lifestyle offers powerful lessons. First, you don't have to be loud to be successful. Gere's shift from public icon to private force is proof that wealth isn't just what you show, but what you sustain. Second, the smartest investments aren't always financial. Sometimes it's in peace, privacy, and people who make you feel whole. And finally, protect what matters. From real estate to insurance, Gere's choices show a man building not for fame, but for future. Gere never formally retired. He didn't need to. He just stepped away. And in doing so, he found the most meaningful role of his life. Leave your thoughts below. And if you believe love always finds a way, even after the storms, comment, "Yes, I believe it." Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another journey into the hidden lives behind Hollywood's most unforgettable names.